Dave, thanks for joining us once again as we get ready for another game, another Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday week. You added another team to the list, I think, that where the performance deserved the victory, but it didn't come your way. You seem to have had a few of those this season.
Yeah. I think Saturday was probably another one. Don't get me wrong. If you ask me where I was more disappointed, it was Swindon. Not because we lost the game and we drew the game. It was just level of performance. Did we deserve to win the game against Sunderland? I think everyone who was at the game would have said yes. They didn't have any chances in open play. They had a couple of free kicks that go across the box because we defend them well. But they didn't create anything. So to not take maximum points is disappointing. But listen, if you're going to not win a game, then make sure you don't lose it. That's the first thing. And then if you're not going to win the game and you concede goals in the manner that we conceded goals, then that's not going to happen every week either. So, they were two fantastic strikes, and a lot's been said about them. I think to the detriment of the fact that how well we played. I think that the message should be that we've dominated a team in two separate ways in two halves of football. Football-wise, first half, and we should have been further ahead. Second half, Tom Lowry's had a great chance, great block by Sanderson, virtually he was in the 6-yard box. Then Mika's tried to lob the keeper. The keeper's, because he's made a poor decision, he's just got a paw to it. He got lucky. Mika's gone through and he's had a heavy touch. We've had lots of chances in the second half from a containment point of view. I'd be much rather talking about how well we played. Yes, we should have won the game. Yes, we got done by two wonderful strikes. But if we keep playing like that, then we're going to be fine. We've got to make sure there's a level of consistency to our performance. And the last two games there has been. So we've got to continue that. And if we do, then we'll win more games. Or we'll be talking about drawing games that we should have won. So that's the worst it can get if we keep performing like that.
I'm just going to want to go back to something you said that's still intriguing me a couple of weeks ago when you said the belief of your players. If you added £5,000, £6,000 a week onto their wages, all of a sudden they would feel different players. Surely performances like you did at the weekend against Sunderland, Hull early in the season, other clubs, Gillingham, teams like that you've played, Ipswich, surely that belief's got to be there that they can be top players.
Yeah, I think my comments a couple of weeks ago were probably, I don't know. I don't know. I was going to say sort of like misleading, probably. Not on purpose, obviously. Don't try and mislead you. But it's easy to say, if you give players more money, they believe they're better players. That's true. That is true. Whether they actually are or not, So sometimes it works the other way. If you give players less money, they have to work harder to be more effective. I think we've worked under them constraints for a long time. So I don't think, I think if we gave them all a lot more money, because somehow there was a money tree at the bottom of Reece Heath, then it'd create more problems than it'd solve. So that's certainly not the answer. But the point is that the lads they've got to understand that they are good enough, and they do. They're not. You saw that Saturday. Like I say, in two different aspects of the game, it was very much like Peterborough, in terms of you play well first half with the ball, you play well second half by containing them, and that's how the game panned out for large spells. They do believe. They do believe. I don't think anyone walked out on that pitch and felt they were inferior to Sunderland and all their millions. We come up against better resource teams every week, like every week. That's a given. So there's nothing changed there, and that's a constant. And our players know that if they keep learning, keep improving, keep working hard, then they're going to be, effective players. And against players that are probably better paid than them. That's the truth. So yeah, we've got to keep going. We've got to keep believing what we're doing. We've got another tough game tomorrow, and then we've got the next 3 games are tough, and then next 4 games with Burton as well, and then we have a midweek break. So that's where we're at. We're still in there. We're still fighting. We've got to string some wins together. But if we keep performing like we did, then we've got a chance.
I want to talk about the trust that you get from clubs, because your recruitment over the last few years has been top draw. You brought an 18-year-old centre-half in from Middlesbrough. It must be a great feeling. We'll talk about him a little bit in a moment, but to get a trust like Middlesbrough, you've had Stephen Walker, you've still got Stephen Walker, now you've got Nathan Wood. That must feel good that clubs like Middlesbrough will trust you with their up-and-coming youngsters.
Yeah. Well, Neil Maddison from Middlesbrough is in my office now, so he might be just checking. I don't know if he's checking up on me or his players, but listen, we get on well with Middlesbrough. There's some terrific people up there, some terrific people. I personally like the way the club's run, I have to say. And they're straight talking people, and we're as honest with them as they are with us, and in the sense that we don't bring anyone in just to make the numbers up. Nathan, we gave him a couple of weeks to get used to us, and he's done ever so well this last couple of games. Stephen's been here before, he knows us. We've got to get more out of him. I've got to get more out of him. He's got to get more out of himself. So, we'll feed that back to Middlesbrough, and they work with us. They don't put any pressure on us to play any one of them or both of them. And we want to have good players in our team, and both of them, Stephen and Nathan are both good players. And it doesn't matter whether you're 18 like Nathan is or 21, 22 like Stephen is. We're used to them age of player at this football club, so they'll get the opportunity if they warrant it and if they merit it.
Well, we'll wait for that team. Wait for that team sheet to come out tomorrow night. But it could be an interesting one, couldn't it? Nathan Wood against Ellis Sims. That's going to be a nice, interesting battle, isn't it? 2 young players trying to make their way in the game. We don't know what the team's going to be, but that's going to be a nice little contest if it happens.
Yeah. Listen, it shows what Critch does. Critch has been brought up by this football club, if you like, or his beliefs have been moulded a lot by this football club. So he's not, he's not afraid to put young players in. I think that's shown. However, he played whatever he is, 32-year-old Gary Medina at our place to try and bully Luke Offord. So he might do that again. You don't know. No idea. The point is, whatever any of our players, and I mean any of our players, get thrown at them now, I think they are better prepared to accept the challenge. 4 years ago, we had some mentally fragile players. That's the truth. Whereas now I think, and I say, Sunderland at home, we didn't have any mentally fragile players anywhere in the teams that day. We haven't got that in the club. We've got to make sure that that remains the case, and whatever gets thrown at them, they'll have to rise to that challenge. And Nathan and Stephen and whoever else it might be, they've got to rise to that challenge as well, because that's what we do.
One player who's never had a fragile sort of application is 37 going towards 38 in Chris Porter. He's come back strong, and he's got a couple of goals, showed what a true professional he is. Yeah.
Listen, if you want someone to be in the 6-yard box between the penalty spot and the goal, he's your man. He's your man. Why? Because that's where he'll be. He's got a brilliant knack of scoring goals, and that's a terrific quality to have. And he scored 2, I think, combined total of about 6.5 yards in 2 games. But yardage from goal doesn't get put in the record books. The boy who scored the first goal, particularly for Sunderland Saturday, it's 35 yards or whatever it is. It's an unbelievable strike. unbelievable strike. It's worth the same as Chris Porter's goal. A lovely move, a lovely little move, Mika down the side, terrific little ball across. Can't miss. So, you know, we and obviously Tom on Saturday when he's walked past Mark Hughes and just bent it and put it on a plate for him for a yard and a half out, the keeper can't get to. You know, that's where Chris makes his money, if you like. That's where he does his business, and that's what he's paid to do. That's what his job is, and that's what we've got to get the ball to him in them areas of the pitch. And if he does, then he's got a great chance of scoring goals. And you know, I think he knows that. We know that. Like I said to you, well, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years back now, we amended his game, so he weren't running into the channels and doing all the things that he had to do at Colchester and previous, because he couldn't do it anymore, or he couldn't do it effectively anymore. That's for sure. He can still run into the channel, but so we had to mould him to how we wanted him to play. And when you want someone to be there, he's your man.
You tinkered with the formation and the system to accommodate him as well. What have you got out of that, Dave? What's been the pluses?
I think, well, first of all, we did a lot of work on this in pre-season, hell of a lot of work, and then we sort of never really used it. We've thought about it at times, but then it's very difficult to go into a game cold. And because I think we had 12 midweek games on the spin before Christmas. So we had 3 months where we couldn't do any work really, or any catch-up work. So then the first opportunity, then I thought we did at some point. I know we did. I can't remember, it might have been December time. But then we didn't need to. So then the first opportunity where we've gone, right, we revisited it 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know, and the lads picked it up brilliantly again, like I said. So first of all, we haven't really had the opportunity to do that. And then when we have, you know, there's pluses and minuses to any formation. It's not about formation. It's about players at the end of the day. It's about players, and they've got to do what you try and ask them to do. And like I said, I think they've done that particularly well. So, you know, we've got to make sure that however we play, you know, we've got to make sure we're as effective in each system. And each personnel in that system has got to be effective, and that's the challenge going forward.
And it's showing that it has been effective because it's 4 points from the 2 games you've tried it.
Yeah, look, I think if you'd have said 4 points from the 2 games, Accrington at home and Sunderland at home, I think people, well, I'd have begrudgingly took it because I wanted 6, because that's what the name of the game is. And if you'd have said we'd have been the 98th and the 99th minute away from getting all 6 points, you'd have probably took it. So, look, that's where we're at. We've got to keep getting better, keep working hard, and however we play, does it help having a change? Yes, it definitely does. But that's the evolution of this team. That's the evolution of this football club, if you like. And we've got to make sure we stay ahead of the curve so that, you know, nobody comes and has his dinner. It's as simple as that, and that's what we're doing at the minute.
You mentioned Neil Critchley, and we all got a lot of time for him. He was a terrific guy down at Crewe and took his job on to Liverpool, and now he's the number 1. But he's like you and about 10 others pushing for a top 6 place. It's another interesting game that you're right in the middle of.
Yeah, look, I think when you're where we are in the table, there's always something to play for in that sense, with 15 games to go, or whatever it is, because, you know, there's always somebody looking up or somebody looking down or whatever. And tomorrow's another good game. They've had a great result of the weekend, and we've got to make sure that we match their strengths and counter their weaknesses. So that's the challenge. I'm looking forward to seeing Critch whenever I'm at a game. Critch is there. You know, I saw him a couple of weeks ago at Doncaster. I sat with him at Doncaster a couple of weeks before that. I saw him at Bristol Rovers when they were playing. Obviously, he was on the touchline that day. So whenever I'm at a game, he tends to be at it. So I go, I know he works hard, or he works hard as me. So I've got a lot of time for him. He's a good guy, honest guy. And although we can't see each other after the game in his office, I'm sure we can have a a 10-minute chat in the stand and chew the cud if you like. So I'm looking forward to it.